That'd have been a hell of a way to start the show with one of those. Someone would come back and be like, what'd you guys say?
Yeah.
Good morning, people of the internet.
Hold on.
We have
Someone does it all the time.
Suddenly
it's not okay if I do it.
No. You're not. You're too white, dude. You can't. All right, we're gonna chat a little bit out. We got the state of the union of the CrossFit space. We have Peter live from the space shuttle.
Guys, Dearborn has fallen. I don't know if you guys are aware.
I moved that show to tomorrow. Peter's like, I don't know what Dearborn is. Did you still want me for the show?
You have a Dearborn over there, don't you, Pedro? You've got a couple of those.
Well, yeah,
there's deers born every day, I'm sure. But
yes, of course.
Bryson Delmonte may be joining us, maybe not. We'll see. If he's not here in 10 minutes, we're taking his name off the title.
Womp womp.
I'm going to shoot a deer on Wednesday, I think.
They do that over there?
Yeah, I'm going hunting. I've never gone hunting before.
Is it real or is it virtual?
Like in a forest.
Hey, I don't know what you had going on, dude.
What do you guys have for guns? Like rifles and shit?
I actually don't know. So there's a gym I went to, CrossFit Leamington. The owner is a hunter, and he was like, "Oh, would you be interested in coming over hunting?" And I said, "Okay." And initially, I thought it was. I just assumed I was going to get off the plane. He was going to hand me like some grenades and whatever, and we just head off. And then he emailed or texted me a few days later and was like, "Oh, I've cleared it that you'll be able to shoot. Like you'll be able to hold a gun and shoot." And I was like, "Well, that would have been disappointing had I turned up expecting to do that and it wouldn't happen. So this is turning out great." So yeah, I think I go over Tuesday. Gonna follow him. He's gonna hunt on Tuesday. I'm gonna follow him, and then Wednesday and Thursday we're going for nighttime and morning hunts. So I'll either be holding a gun or just his dick and see which shoots off first, I guess.
You should
either way. It's gonna be an experience.
Maybe he's grooming me.
Are you gonna have to field dress it? You're gonna have to like get rid of everything and pull out his butthole and shit.
He does all that stuff, so I don't really need to worry about it. I'll just be present and I'll watch that bit. He sent me a photograph of a deer with like a crosshairs, like where you should aim for.
Yeah.
And he was like, he's like, if you hit it here, you'll hit the lung and the heart or whatever. And I was like, "Oh, that's better." My plan was to shoot it once in each hoof and then slowly track it down. So you're more humane. So yeah, I'm probably really going to piss him off.
Are you filming this at all? Are you making content around it?
Yeah, I'm bringing my camera. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Well, stay tuned for that.
That's gonna be great.
Stay tuned for that. All right, I'm gonna play this clip. I know most people have probably seen it already, but we're gonna play it anyways.
Anything up till now been wrong in the fitness industry?
Yes.
I have heard you say that CrossFit prepares athletes for, quote, the unknown and the unforeseen. It sounds like you're getting ready to go to war.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, for getting ready for war, getting ready for earthquake, getting ready for mugging, getting ready for the horrible news that you have leukemia. What awaits us all is challenge, that's for sure.
You'd have a 75-year-old doing deadlifts?
Yeah, to say no is to say that if you drop your pen on the ground, you're not going to pick it up. It's a deadlift. It's picking something off the ground. It does not require a physician's okay. If your physician doesn't think you should deadlift, you need to get a new doctor is what you need.
You didn't invent weightlifting.
Nope.
You didn't invent calisthenics.
Nope.
You didn't invent gymnastics.
Nope.
So what'd you do?
I invented that doing lateral raises and curls while eating pretzels is dumb.
So that person is sitting in their living room saying, "This all sounds interesting, but I've heard things and I don't want to get hurt."
Yeah, and stay in your chair where you're sure to get hurt, and you'll become one of the 300,000 people that will die next year from sitting in their chair doing nothing.
Is everything?
Am I hearing that twice? Is something wrong with my phone?
Probably yes.
Oh, I was hearing.
Yeah, I didn't hear it. I didn't get it twice.
Okay.
Possibly, definitely.
My favorite thing about that post is that every time I check the Sevon Podcast Instagram, there's like new comments on it.
Yes.
And it's usually Pedro just going to war with somebody for days.
Oh, I've had so much fun, particularly that comment section. But it's just, oh man, it's crazy. That one and the one of the people talking in the office kitchen or whatever. You know,
Yeah. Watch out, CrossFitters coming through.
There's a guy the other day that was like, CrossFit is a cult, and because that's the joke of that piece, and it's like CrossFit is a cult. This is coming from a CrossFit level 2 trainer with over 1,000 hours or something. And then he replied to someone else's comment with the same something similar. So then I was like, he said, and the one thing they haven't done is define fitness. And I replied, and I was like, maybe you just didn't listen, like when you're at your level 1 or level 2, but they're pretty big on the fact that they did in fact define fitness. And he was like, I didn't even pay for my level 2. Joke's on you, whatever. And then he was like, what certifications have you got? And I was like, I also hold a level 2. And I was like, I'm sorry that this is kind of ruining the point you were trying to make. And it's so entertaining for me to just watch them spin themselves up into like a tizzy and then just be like, well, I'm just not replying to any more comments on this thread. And then just be, and it's just, I love it. Love it.
Well, the purpose of playing that is because it's inflammatory, right? That's the clip in the way Greg spoke about CrossFit is something that it drew all sorts of people. So even you're going to war with all the haters in that thing. There's a 2-for-1 ratio on people that were like, holy shit, this is awesome. So the kind of the purpose of it and why I want to bring it up is like, what do you think that there should be more of that, or has that time passed?
No, I think,
as far as just being like putting the stake in the ground with the methodology.
No, I think if you look at the response to that video and even the response to this stuff that I put out like last week or the week before of kind of like, it's not even methodology based, it's sort of mindset based, or, like that it's just that's not for everyone basically. I think that sort of echoes what Greg is saying there of like, just stay on the couch then. And they're the ones that get pissed off. The ones that want to stay on the couch, or the ones that want, they were all big, like maybe 10 years ago of, you can eat whatever you want on my diet and let's just like make it easy and as palatable as possible. And I think that's just like obtuse or the opposite or whatever to what Greg was trying to do. And I think CrossFit I think that's what they want the marketing to be. I just think they're afraid to just really jump off the edge, like to just really dive in 2-footed or head first or whatever.
But what do you think that would look like for them? Just being more aggressive about stuff, or just having more content out around the methodology that's unapologetic?
I think being unapologetic, yeah. Just being like you said, putting a stake in the ground and being like, you've got different choices. You can stay exactly where you are. You can take the magic pill that we thought we'd never have that probably has terrible side effects. You can take that, or you can do it the hard way and the right way, and you can do it this way. And then just be unapologetic of that everything else is either wrong, detrimental, or just not as effective. And this is the best way to do it.
I think one of the major issues too that they're running into is that they don't know how to differentiate the methodology in terms of like a supplemental life program in it turning into competitive sports side of CrossFit. And so if you listen to and read a lot of the early stuff in the journal, like the CrossFit methodology was basically supplemental to make you better at whatever sport you were playing in. Like it was an additional piece to your sport specific stuff. Meaning when you were in the off season, you did CrossFit more days a week. When you were on an in season, you did it like a couple days a week just to stay up on your fitness, because it was going to make you better at any sport specific stuff that you were trying to accomplish. And Greg worked with like a lot of like Olympians early on, a lot of people that were at the top of their sport looking for their edge in their training program. And so I think what ended up happening was it just became the end all be all to like, oh, I'm going to do CrossFit. Oh, now I'm going to do a lot more CrossFit. Now I want to be competitive in CrossFit. Now I can't differentiate the methodology from I'm utilizing this to be better at life or to be better at my sport, or everything that Greg was talking about. They're preparing you for the unknown and what'd she say? The unforeseen. And he tried to correct her to the unknowable and she cut him off. But that is what the methodology prepares you for. And I agree that it should be unapologetic when it's being attacked, or we should ruthlessly defend it, especially in the public space, as Pedro is doing quite quite honorably in the comment section. So if you guys go over it, you could scroll through and see just getting after some people in there. But that's the main purpose of it, is to like get it back to the actual training, the theoretical hierarchy of training, right? The nutrition, the metabolic conditioning, and like breaking each one of those pieces down and continuing to explain the methodology. Like as CrossFitters, especially if you've been around for a long period of time, like we get sick of hearing about it way more than new people understand it or come in with even knowing that there's this whole training regimen behind it. And that's one of the mistakes that I think is being made. So it doesn't necessarily need to be crazy ruthless, although I do agree like it should be in its defense, but we should just talk about what it is in general.
Yeah, I think it's like that sort of ruthlessness, though, I think is what, I mean, like, look at like those posts are as close to going viral as you can get. And it's because they're either contrarian or, counterculture or, against what other people are thinking or whatever. So there is, I think that's when I talk about like, ruthlessness or being obnoxious almost, it's because it gets a response and then people will see it and then people will be like, oh shit, and then maybe they'll start looking up in it themselves or Google CrossFit or CrossFit near me or whatever. I think that's something that CrossFit missed out on for the last number of years, is just having like one or two people employed full time to just go through comment sections and go, because it's just so like you get so like even on Spin's post yesterday about like people dropping out of World Fitness Project and stuff, you just read through the comments and there's just so many dumbasses that just completely miss the point, and it's just like of everything. And it's just you just need someone in there that just wades in and just says like, hey, you're being really dumb, like you're missing the point completely. And then it just helps the algorithm as well, doesn't it?
Yes, and the Russell, yeah, exactly. CrossFit, they were ruthless when they would go after people, and they were super smart too. So, oh, Bryson is coming. Okay, cool.
I think stuff like that also just attracts the right people. Like if you're just fat, and you've just had years of like, woe is me, I'm never gonna get better at this, whatever. But you still have that like, I played sports in college, or I was competitive in some aspect, but now I've just really fallen off because my life has happened. And then you see something like that and you're like, oh yeah, that tickled me. Like that really sparked something in me, and I really want to get back into doing something like that, do something that's competitive and something that I know will get me back into that, like that fit shape again. So give me an understanding of what I need to be doing now versus what I was doing then. I think that really attracts the right crowd as well.
Even that first group that you're talking about, like I fit into that first group of I never played sport growing up. Like never, it just wasn't really much of an option. And then I think when I sort of started looking at CrossFit and stuff, it was more, I had the moment of like, oh shit, okay. Like I didn't realize that not just accepting was an option. Like I didn't realize that there was alternative options available. So I think, yeah, you can speak to that second group of like the Chase Ingrams, like that type, who have had some kind of athleticism before. And then you can also speak to people who just didn't know that it existed or didn't know that it wasn't like
the crowd that played Dungeons and Dragons after school kind of thing. Like,
yeah, I mean, okay, I wasn't that crowd,
but yeah, but you'll get them as well too. It's that's the biggest piece, is that I don't think there's enough people in there with as I would say, institutional knowledge on what the methodology is to actually articulate it in that way. And that's one of the biggest, that's probably one of the biggest issues. Like if you're going to go into war about CrossFit and it being the ultimate, fitness and health program, you have to have enough background knowledge to be able to defend it very intelligently. And so I'm just wondering, like, do you think because let's I'm gonna give the benefit of the doubt and just say that knowledge isn't as deep as it would be with obviously Greg there or some of the people that worked at CrossFit early as opposed to somebody now? Do you think that that's the main reason why it's just a lack of like in-depth knowledge about it, or do you think there's other constraints? What's up, Bryson?
I think a lack of confidence and a lack of you know, like you say, you really need to know your shit to stand over something,
Yeah.
or be willing to fall on the sword for it, or, you know, like jump into traffic for it or whatever. But even it's like, I mean, there's sometimes I'm arguing with someone in comments, like I do it so frequently, it's probably pathetic, but like sometimes I get into an argument with someone and I'll text like Taylor or JR before I send a comment. I'd be like, this is right, isn't it? I'm not misquoting, or like this is correct. And they'd be like, yep, go for it. So like even that, like surely there's someone that can just do that. Even if they don't have the in-depth knowledge, someone does, and they can check. Like I think it's just they don't, still maybe clinging on a little bit too tightly to the like, you know, we don't have to offend everyone. Like we can, you know, we don't want to turn people away. Like we want everyone to like us. And I think there's still remnants of that from whatever 2020 to 2024 are still hanging around a bit.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well,
What you're saying is also like just for fact checking too, though. Like you know enough to present an argument and something that you can think is right, and then you fact check it with somebody.
Yeah.
But if no one there knows what's going on,
Yeah,
and
maybe.
I obviously missed the first part of the conversation, but I'm just kind of using context clues to figure out what we're talking about. But if no one at CrossFit HQ knows what CrossFit is, they can't even like form an argument that needs to be fact checked to begin with.
yeah, that's a great point. Like if you don't even know where you're going to go with it, Fergie put it here, quote of the year goes to Susan, CrossFit as a sport is overvalued. CrossFit as a health company is undervalued. Yeah,
I don't think people outside of CrossFit, or like if they've never heard of CrossFit, I don't think they understand that either. Like I've had discussions with friends before where they're like, I was discussing the sale of CrossFit and they're like, well, what do they have to sell? Like, what would they be buying? And I'm like an encyclopedia's worth of fucking knowledge. Like they've built this database of information that they use in seminars that they're giving to everybody for $1,000 a pop, and it's like it's the Bible of movement, and they don't understand that, or like it's crazy to me that they
Even like
that disconnect.
Ben Bergeron did a podcast that I sent it to the group earlier on, but it was like I've only kind of half listened to some of it, but he was explaining why he de-affiliated from CrossFit, and it's a fairly common thing of you know, this like, what have you done for me lately sort of attitude. Whereas that gym owner in Leamington that I'm talking about, I asked him on camera, like, have you ever thought of de-affiliating? No. Were you annoyed when the price went up? No. He's like, how can I be annoyed at that, but expect my members not to be annoyed when I put my price up? Like, it's the same thing. And then he was like, I said, would you stay affiliated if they increased the price? And he was like, I mean, I guess it would depend what it increased to, but yeah. And I said, if they added like 2K on top, he's like, yeah, like 4K on top. He's like, yeah. I said, why? And he said, one, because of everything it's given me. Two, because it's like all the IP, all the protection of that IP, all the movement stuff, all the just like Caleb said, like years of just basically a supercomputer's worth of all this info and stuff. And you have that side of it. You have the people who are like, well, it's given me everything and I want to stay loyal. So basically, no matter what happens, I'm going to stick around. And then you have the people who are like, they'd be the same people who'd be a member of a gym and they'd be complaining about a $20 increase. You know, they'd be looking around saying like, well, what's improved? Like, why do I have to pay more for this? Like, what am I getting for my $20 extra? And I think there's just those different groups of people, like, and I think, yeah, I know I'm going to get pissed off at that Ben Bergeron episode. I'm only like 3 minutes into him talking about it. I'm already getting kind of agitated.
Well, there's two things I want to go with the discussion with here. The first one is going to be, if you're going to increase the price, right? So a couple of things that you just talked about only mean something if you've been around for a really long time, meaning like the loyalty payment and the education stuff. Because right now there's not as much of it as there was back in the day. Like you don't have the journal, you don't have things being published or like in your face as much as you did back then. There's also like the novelty of it's worn out. Like the knowledge around CrossFit now is very much more widespread than it was. Like the only place you could get it before was CrossFit. Now there's a gazillion people making content around the methodology. So like, do you think that for newer people, would that should that still even matter or be factored? And then the second half of that is, if part of the ethos is chasing excellence, not to further quote Ben Bergeron, because that was actually a Greg quote. Do you think that are they exemplifying that as well? Meaning CrossFit HQ.
I mean, the big thing that the guy was saying was like the IP, and it's kind of like, and the protection and the brand protection and the positive brand. And I mean, like, that's probably the biggest failing that they have, is that they're probably not protecting the IP well enough. They're probably not, the brand isn't being viewed positively. Like, the name CrossFit hasn't been viewed positively for a couple of years. That's probably their biggest failing, which goes back to some of the stuff we were talking about earlier on, that is probably low hanging fruit for them to do. Yeah. So I think when he was kind of saying that, I was like, I mean, the brand there has to be positive brand association in order for you to pay. Like, you're not going to pay for everyone to be like, oh, CrossFit. So they need to do better at that. But like, yeah, I don't know. I think the education, some of that stuff just needs to be updated, I think. Like, even speaking to some seminar staff, and they're like, the level 1 is a bit out of date. The level 2 is out of date because of the people that are coming doing it. Like, it used to be that the people that show up to the level 1 are people who are just like, hook it to my veins. Now you have people who are doing the level 1 and level 2. It probably needs to be split into hook it to my veins people who are just like newbies and want to know more, people who want to coach, and then that needs to be a slightly different course. People who are already coaching or maybe want to open their own gym, and that needs to be a slightly different course. People who are like re-upping their level 2, that needs to be a slightly different course. I think from some of the seminar staff I've spoken to, it becomes frustrating where they're talking to a group of 20 people and they're going through, like, you know, programming, for example, and they're looking at the group being like, none of these will ever need to know this. Like, they should be doing a slightly different course than this. So I think I would argue that the education stuff needs to be, you know, brought into the future a little bit, or brought into the present. Like, it needs to be kind of updated. Not saying anything that's being taught is wrong. It just needs to be pitched differently to different groups, you know?
Well, yeah. Do you also think that, you know, what you're saying about CrossFit doesn't really have a positive connotation to people right now? Like, when people hear it, they're just like, oh, CrossFit. I mean, I think that's partially HQ's fault for just being like, yeah, you know, like, whatever's okay. This is the way we like to do it, but like, do it your way if you want to. Like, it's not do it your way if you want to. This is the best way. Like, people who don't do CrossFit, even people who do CrossFit, a lot of them don't know that no one else has defined fitness. Like, that's just a subjective term anywhere else you look, and we've defined it. And that's what CrossFit is based off of, not the other way around. And people don't know that. And CrossFit and HQ doesn't act like that either. HQ should be telling that to everyone, being like, hey, we are the ones with the definition, and we've based our training off of the definition, not the other way around. And they need to tell people that and make sure everyone knows, like, hey, no, this is the best thing. It's not just another fitness thing. It's not like another F45. Like, oh, if you just enjoy that, yeah, go do that instead. It's better than sitting on the couch. Yeah, of course, doing anything is better than sitting on the couch, but this is better than everything else.
Yeah, I think you know, you're correct. And that's one of the things that I was talking about, like the deep institutional knowledge. It's like, I wonder if they're trying to, first off, I would love to know the marketing, like, success indicators, meaning if they put some sort of like campaign out, let's say like this, whatever the Forging Elite one, like, what are they using metric wise to understand if it was successful or not? Like, what does that mean to HQ?
Yeah, is it like inquiries to open an affiliate, or is it like, because if it's a global thing, it's very difficult to say that it was successful or not.
Right.
And you have to base it off of what the affiliates are like, if new members show up to affiliates, right? And how are you?
It's all
like,
anecdotal though. That's like, okay, what affiliates would say that? What affiliates would make the correlation between the two things? Do they have a questionnaire that says, well, I saw the Forging Elite Fitness video? Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's all anecdotal positivity. I would imagine they're basing the success off how many views did the video get, how many people shared it, and was the general perception positive towards it, or were people unhappy about it? I think that's all they're basing it on, I would guess.
How many impressions did I buy that were also a part of that?
Yeah, you would think that you want some sort of more sound metric around that, because like the
But they
views
did
and the
need one,
engagement
yeah.
piece, the views and the engagement stuff is like, it's not unless their goal is to like grow subscribers on a YouTube channel or like grow their platforms on social media, it's kind of like a poor measure of success in terms of like, did this strengthen the brand, and did that strengthening of the brand trickle down to more people walking through CrossFit affiliate doors? I mean, there's a really big gap to fill there in terms of like the knowledge of data that you would need to understand if that worked or not. Like you said, it's impossible to track. So what are you going to call gyms and be like, hey, like, you know, I got this big development that's going up right next to the gym. It's going to be part of our 600-meter run. So let's say at the same time they ran some campaign, as that whole thing fills up and I got like 30 new members, and then they call me and they're like, hey, we ran this new campaign. Was it a success? And I was like, yeah, I got 30 new members this month. It was nuts. And they didn't factor in that development came in next door to me. And then you could have another gym where maybe that there's been less of that happening, and more people that don't have disposable income, and that economy continues to get hard in that area. And they're like, hey, how's it going? They're like, shit, we're losing people left and right. And so there's all these other factors that would come into play as well. But I think the main thing there is the defining fitness, and what Bryson said, just to piggyback off of that, is like, I think that it should just be continuously around what CrossFit did that no other fitness methodology has ever done before, and continuing to beat that drum a lot in terms of the education side on defining fitness and defining health, and then also to defining intensity, work capacity, the different modal domains, functional fitness. There's so much there that the worst part about this is it's almost seemingly like we move so far away from it that as things like high rocks pop up, all of a sudden this hybrid athlete pops up, and now it looks like this new novel thing. And since we all know CrossFit at its core, we're like, dude, you're just talking about CrossFit.
You're just doing a CrossFit workout.
Yeah.
That's right. And all they've done is kind of take bits and pieces of the methodology, make it look like it's novel and new. And next thing you know, they're like, wow, look at this cool thing that's happening. It's overtaking CrossFit. And we're just like Bryson said, we're like, dude, that's just a long CrossFit workout with way too much running programmed into it.
Yeah. And they're not telling people that, like, dude, get on your high horse. I need HU to be on the high horse and telling everyone it's better than anything else. Not like doing partnerships with High Rocks or, you know, being sponsored by Monster at the games. Like, I need you guys to be on your high horse and be like, no, we're right. Everyone else who disagrees is wrong. And this is the best thing you can do. And this is why.
The most annoying piece, and then I want to move on to the WFP here in a minute, but the most annoying piece about all these, let's say, relics of the CrossFit past that basically built their whole brands and their businesses off of CrossFit, and now are switching, being like, I did CrossFit and I got burnt out. Now I'm doing this program. The most annoying part about that is they're still just doing CrossFit. They've just taken some of the stuff that looks scary to the people who don't know what they're doing, or have said like buzzwords like, we took out the high skilled movement and replaced it with whatever the fuck. And that's one of the most annoying pieces of it.
It's sort of like electrolytes are big now, like salt and stuff. And like if you take on too much, it can be detrimental for your health if you like overdo it. I feel like what they've done, like people like Josh Bridges, Amanda Barnhart, what's the
Jessica
girl
Griffith.
that said the N-word to Chandler
Jessica
Smith?
Griffith.
Yeah, Jessica Griffith. People like that they basically have been proponents of hydration for 10 years and how important hydration is, but they've added like way too much salt to what they've been drinking for years because it's what they needed to do. And then they stopped adding salt, and they started saying like, oh, my kidneys were fucked and my liver, like everything, my whole internal organs were ruined by all this salt I was taking. Hydration is terrible for you. You should just drink this water instead. And it's like, it's still hydration. You're just like, you completely bastardize what you were doing in order to perform at an elite level. And now that you don't need that anymore, you realize that you had a detrimental effect on your joints or your back or your fucking mental capacity or whatever. And now you're turning around and blaming. It's not water's fault. It's all the shit that you added to it to make it better. Just drink the water.
Well, yeah. And all those programs where it's like, oh, we're just taking out the high skill stuff, or, oh, you don't need to snatch heavy. Like, we need to tell people that skills are a huge part of your fitness. You don't have to do ring muscle ups to be doing CrossFit, but if you can't, there's reasons you can't, and you can still work on those skills or develop that strength that you don't have that makes it so you can't do those. Or that if you don't want to do them, that's fine, but you're missing out on a huge component of fitness by not training skills, or just because you think double unders are stupid, or, oh, why would I have to hit the target on wall ball shots? Like, there's reasons that we do all of this, and anyone who takes little things out like that, you really, I get what you guys are saying. Like, hey, it is just CrossFit, but it's not CrossFit anymore. You're missing a huge component of fitness, and you're losing out on all these things that we train. And because we do all of them, that's what makes it CrossFit. So you're just taking the easy way out and missing out on a lot of fitness and a lot of work capacity across your life.
Yeah. And just to piggyback off that, two other things as far as packaging it in the education piece is like, we had a guy, Dr. Tommy Wood, that came to the CrossFit for Health Summit 2 years ago in February, and he spoke about like the neuroplasticity in the brain. And he had this chart basically like from the time you were born to like when you were 7, like there was just tons of like activity going on. You were learning, everything was new, and you had to struggle and figure it out. So there was a ton of like adaptation that was happening specifically in the brain with you being able to move your body through time and space, learn new things. And it goes away once you kind of get into like adolescence and basically dies off as an adult, right? And we know that stressing, even the mental side of stuff, keeps you sharp. Like it's just like a muscle. You have to stress it, and then you have adaptation to that stress. And so what he showed is people that were doing CrossFit that went to the high skill stuff. And I'm not saying that they all accomplished muscle ups or they all were able to accomplish handstand walking, but just the fact that they were taking the foundational steps to learn those, regardless of what it is, if it's a bear crawl or if it's just like a high piked,
high skills relative too.
High skills relative. Exactly. Just learning a ring muscle up with your feet on the ground to pull yourself through the rings to be able to have that kinesthetic awareness was the only things that brought back that neuroplasticity. And it was essentially recess, adult play play for adults, and that actually made them sharper. So one of the things that I always argued when it came to snatch is they were like, oh, so if you have somebody who's some older woman that has never played sports and hasn't worked out in 20 years, you're going to teach her how to snatch? And I'm like, absolutely. And they're like, well, that's ridiculous. You're going to get her hurt. And I'm like, well, you assumed that I was going to load up a barbell and put a bunch of heavy weight there. What if I just said I'm going to take a PVC pipe from her hip and teach her to use her legs to drive it up over her head? And maybe it takes her years just to move from that to a 15-pound barbell. But the thing is that we're working the body through time and space, and the adaptation that she's getting through being able to jump something up and pull something down is super valuable in her old age relative. Sorry if you're 60 and listening to this. I mean that, but at her age, it's super relevant and super beneficial and healthy for her to be able to do that.
Well, I've talked about this before too. Like when people say, "Oh, how's the snatch functional? When are you ever going to do a snatch in nature?" It's like, dude, if you give me two 80-year-old ladies in a vacuum, I don't know anything about them except the first one can do a PVC pipe snatch and make it look pretty much what like a snatch is supposed to look like. And the other one has no idea how to do that. And they both trip over something on the sidewalk when they're walking home from the grocery store. I guarantee you the lady who can snatch perfectly or near perfectly, or at least better than the other one, is going to have a way better chance of catching herself and not falling, not breaking her hip, whatever it is.
She can do that chase to snatch with her groceries. She can, like just run forwards.
Yeah, exactly. And then also this comment is great. I tell people, I don't care if you could do muscle ups. I care about the reasons why you can't do them. That's awesome.
And you're going to teach a 70-year-old woman how to snatch the same as you would teach like a 5-year-old. Like everybody has the same starting point when they're learning a new movement like that. I mean, any movement, I think, in general, in the sense of CrossFit. Yeah. Because you can't just, like Sousa said, you can't just load up a barbell and tell somebody, yeah, fuck it, snatch that shit. Like, that's just not how that works. They're never going to physiologically be able to do that. So you have to start with a PVC pipe.
But they assume that to prove their own point. Like the person that's telling you it's dangerous pictures Wall Street weightlifter because they want their point to be right. So that's what they picture. That's what they pitch the argument as.
Which is crazy because they would never do that with their own if they're going to teach somebody anything. Like if they're going to teach somebody how to back squat, even just a back squat, you're telling me you're going to load up 135 on a barbell, you're going to tell somebody, go ahead and back squat?
Yeah.
I mean, you learn to
There's
read by
no
learning
way.
each individual letter's sound. You don't hand them a fucking Bible and say, right, good luck.
Have
Oh,
at it, buddy.
that's why I got screwed up. Okay.
And that's where like good coaching comes into it too. Like the CrossFit progressions for snatch is probably the best way to teach someone who's never snatched before. If you don't know anything else about them, all you know is they've never snatched. But if some like 18-year-old jacked kid comes into your gym, he wants to do CrossFit and he really wants to snatch. He saw a video of it and he thinks it's so cool. And he's perfectly healthy, no injuries, strong as shit. He might be the one where like, yeah, he starts with an empty barbell, but he's just not getting it. So you put on 10s to give him a little bit more feedback from the bar. And then he feels a little bit better. And now it's looking better because he added a little bit of weight. Obviously, that's different than the situation we're talking about where an 80-year-old lady comes into the gym and she's probably going to be using a PVC pipe for years.
I mean, for comedic effect and going viral, yeah, load up her bar. But I mean, for actual coaching.
Hey, maybe according to the metrics that they're following, that might work if it's views and engagement, huh?
Yeah.
I want to touch base real quick just on what Bryson said, because that's the perfect fucking word for it. And outside of myself, humbly, I haven't heard another coach utilize it before. And when you have new people coming in and you could see that they might benefit from just a slightly heavier weight so they could feel the movement, and you use the term, hey, we're going to load this up a little bit so you get some more feedback. Like, that is... Yes, you hit it spot on. I do that all the time. And changing that language also makes the person you're coaching much more comfortable in understanding it. Because if they're a little nervous, and you could tell that, like a kettlebell swing might be a good example, where you could give them a 15-pound kettlebell and they're essentially doing like a front raise and some weird knee bend thing. And
yeah,
like,
that 18-year-old kid who's strong as shit and jacked out of his mind, like, yeah, maybe on paper you're supposed to start, make sure he can do kettlebell swings perfectly with a 10-pound kettlebell, but if he doesn't understand that he's supposed to use his hips first, then he's just not going to get it.
That's right. He'll muscle his way through everything. So if you're like, hey, we're going to add a little bit more weight to this so you get some feedback on the movement, not only does it help the 18-year-old jack kid, but also if you use that with the older woman that might be coming in, they're going to be much more inclined to try a little bit more of a heavier weight rather than just be afraid of it, because you're not just saying, hey, we're just increasing the weight because that looks too easy. Because they're going to come back and be like, oh, wait, it's not that easy. This is already hard. I'm confused and don't know what's going on. But if you switch it to the feedback, that helps a ton.
Hey, Kenneth, why is Bryson obsessed with old ladies? If you ask your Mima, she can tell you. Just make sure she doesn't show you the video, because that might ruin your day.
Peter hunts deers and Bryson hunts cougars. What's this CrossFit one here? Oh, is that Bryson trips old ladies to figure out who? I mean, it's funny because we've never actually had this discussion before, but his analogy with like, hey, if you slip off the curb or if you stumble a little bit and you're the one who snatches and you could do it well, the chances of you recovering from that is significantly higher. That's literally the same exact example that I use all the time. I'm like, it's just going to help your reaction time and your ability to move quickly. And you're going to train that here with this PVC pipe. And if you trip over something, the chances of you catching yourself have become significantly higher. One last piece with this is the moving toward excellence. Peter, you've had like a bunch of affiliate conversations and things like that lately, right? With your affiliate hotline. Slightly off topic, what was that? Did somebody just take a bunch of pictures of their gym and have you guys just like analyze what was going on?
Yeah, so we were doing these shows, me, JR from Crash, Jamie from Method, which is like a crazy successful UK gym, and he's really like businessy. I think that's the official term. And then Johnny is like, he's a red shirt and he owns a gym and it's doing really well. And we were kind of, me and Jamie and Johnny were just kind of talking about different gyms, and I'd seen a lot of gyms, and I was kind of like, God, a lot of the gyms seem to have similar things in common and then similar pitfalls that they were falling into that seem like they could be avoidable. And I was kind of saying some of them to Jamie, and he was like, yeah, I mean, first 3 years we made that mistake and then we fixed it and we've been reaping the rewards since. So I kind of said, why do we do a show? So we did kind of general Q&A, and then we did some kind of, Johnny might say, I want to talk about programming. And I see this thing and it pisses me off every time I see it. When I go to a gym, I want to talk about that. And then JR will be similar, and Jamie will talk about some business thing. And then some gym, some guy, Golden Valley CrossFit, messaged and said, hey, if I showed you my gym, would the guys give feedback on it? So I made up a survey, sent him the survey, he filled it in, and then I asked for a video of the gym. And we did that like 2 weeks ago. And then this guy messaged, Backland CrossFit messaged and said, can I do one of those? And then we've had like other gyms message and say, if I sent you a couple of weeks of programming, could the guys give feedback on it? If there's another gym that's like, I'm training in my garage now, taking clients, and I'm going to open an affiliate in the spring. Can I do a show? Can you do a show about what I should do? And there's another one that's like, I'm opening next week. If I come on, can I show you the gym? And you give feedback and stuff. So again, it's like, I guess it's like maybe an entry level, like Two Brain Business or Best Hour sort of thing, where it's just like, a lot of them are like, I think I'm doing okay. Can I just either have that confirmed or have some easy reach tips that I can improve without spending like, money that I don't have on mentorship or whatever? Can I just have like this gradual, telling me I'm on the right path or a slight correction? Yeah, it's been really enjoyable to do.
I wonder if a show like that was coming from CrossFit HQ all the time, and you had the panel of people that you have, right? Like longtime gym owners, ones that are in different areas, ones that kind of approach it differently, and then also a seminar staff member there. And you did that on a CrossFit HQ platform. Would that help with quality control? Because I firmly believe that the more you put out, like, this is what excellence looks like, and you just showcase it all the time, that's going to help everybody rise to that occasion. Because it's kind of like me talking about, oh, hey, we're going to program like this, and this is the way that we run the gym here. And now that I actually have a gym, if you show up and it's not like that way, it kind of makes you look like an ass, right? And so I think that when you show something is like, hey, this is kind of the all-star, this is like the hallmark of what it looks like, and there's different variations of this, it's not just one path, but this is what it looks like. I do believe that it helps everybody rise to that, because now the public knows about what that looks like. The CrossFit community at large knows what that looks like. And if they come into my gym and it's not similar or moving in that same direction, they're going to know, oh, wait a minute, this isn't up to standard. Because there's some gyms that you go to, if you're the first time you've ever done CrossFit, and you walk in and they're like, okay, hey guys, like, welcome in. The workout's up there. Go ahead and grab your barbell. Here's the warm up there. And let me know if you guys need anything, right? And all of a sudden they're kind of like, oh, okay. And they're looking around, and everybody else that's been there for forever knows what to do. So they start doing it. Maybe you have somebody in the gym that's nice enough to be like, oh, the stuff's over here. Here's your barbell. Here's what you grab. So to that new person that walked in, that's what they think CrossFit is. Yeah. And they got no coaching. There was no structure behind it. The coach didn't lead them through a warm up. They didn't start to break down the movements. And that individual would have no way to know whether all gyms were like that or whether just their gym was like that. So showcasing more of what you're talking about, Pedro, what you're doing on your channel with that affiliate show, I think also helps with the quality control, quote unquote, that people seem to think that there's an issue with in the CrossFit space.
Judy's saying it in the chat there, but I've had this idea for a while of doing like a Pedro's CrossFit Nightmares, and just going around to do like gyms that I've heard are shit, and like doing a class and saying, oh, I'm visiting affiliates, can I come and do a class, and just recording it and then offering them feedback from the guys afterwards.
Oh yeah.
Saying like, if you want advice, we can do a show, we can work through your whole gym, like the layout, the facility, the equipment, the programming, the member, how you get members, how you retain members, how you grow, your coaching, how you do development. We can go through all that on the show and seeing if they'd be up for doing it. But yeah, I just think that would be incredible, like incredibly entertaining to be like, holy shit, we're just going straight into DT and we haven't even warmed up, or like
right.
Kind of
do you guys think that there should be a higher barrier to entry to open a CrossFit gym, or do you think them changing it to a level 2 being required as a gym owner is good enough?
I don't think so, because what CrossFit HQ is signaling there is like, hey, be a better coach. That has nothing to do with running an affiliate. It has nothing to do with the business side of being able to run your affiliate effectively. And sure, coaching is the product. That's what you're selling essentially, right? So you need to have a certain level of excellence. But I would like to see an actual weekend course dedicated to running a CrossFit affiliate. And
well, yeah, I get that. But I think when we're talking about like your confidence in telling someone, hey, even if they're across the country, you've never been to the state they live in, and you can say, hey, go to a CrossFit gym and you're going to have a good experience. I want that level of confidence. I don't have that level of confidence telling my mom to go to whatever CrossFit gym in Florida is near her, because I just have no idea. And I think a business course would be a good resource for affiliate owners, but I don't think that makes a different experience for the member who walks in and what they think CrossFit is, or if they already have a negative connotation in their mind. It definitely would help affiliate owners 100% to do that. And maybe it should be required, or maybe it should just be a resource. I don't know. But I think just for the general connotation of CrossFit to become positive again, that wouldn't really change it. I think requiring a level 2 was a step in the right direction, but even now you can still go to a CrossFit gym and it's just like a horrible, horrible like coaching experience. And every time I do that, which is more often than I wish it was, I'm just like, man, I can't imagine if today was my first day of CrossFit, I would never come back.
Before it goes too far back up, I can't remember the name. Kevin, I think it is, in the comments was like, "Oh, should HQ not do that?" And then they could charge for it. And it's kind of like, yeah, I mean, they probably should do it, but they probably won't. There's also not that many affiliate owners at HQ to give the kind of feedback that that Johnny, JR, and Jamie could give. And then also, they could charge for it. It's sort of like at parent teacher meetings, or parent teacher night, I think you guys call it. Like, the parents that you really need to speak to are the ones that never show up, and the ones that you can never talk to. So if you're putting out all this business development stuff and, hey, like, we'll come to your gym and blah blah, the ones that need you won't accept the offer and won't engage properly because they think they're doing it right and they think everything's fine, which is why I think it would be a lot more effective if it wasn't HQ doing it, because A, the people are qualified because they're actual affiliate owners, and I don't think there's that many of them at HQ anymore, and B, it removes that like parent aspect sort of thing of like the authoritarian coming in and telling you how to fix things. It's like, no, like, low stress, just going to come in, have a look at the class, and if you want feedback afterwards, I give you it. If you don't, no problem. And then charging it for it, I mean, they're just going to tell you to fuck off if you ask for money.
Then I want to draw some more clarity to my affiliate seminar. It's not a business seminar. It would be showcasing over the weekend what excellence from CrossFit HQ standpoint looks like in an affiliate. So what I mean by that is, you might have hey, this is how we recommend you onboard coaches into your gym. And that's like the whole entire morning. And then you might have something with like, hey, this is what it looks like for you guys to maybe do have some more business side of stuff. And like, here's some basic information. Then at lunchtime, you go and you experience a class at a CrossFit, like a top-notch CrossFit class inside that CrossFit HQ affiliate, where the first time you're just observing it, you're just watching it and understanding each element of it. Then you come back and break that down. So rather than, it's like the level 2 version of like how to run a class with less emphasis on teaching, seeing, and correcting movement, and more emphasis on the thing wow, I cannot talk. The thing on its whole, right? So like, from what does it look like from the time that new member walks through the door, to the whiteboard debrief, to how they're greeted, to how you run them through the warm up? What are some key things there that are important for that person? Then, of course, you could dive a little bit into the business aspect of it. But truth be told, you're not going to learn a lot of that business shit in a weekend anyways. I just want you to know and understand what a successful affiliate looks like and what elements of that made it successful. And this is the standard that we're hoping you guys all hold. Do it in your own way and how you want to do it with your own flavor. But it doesn't matter. There's certain foundational things that have to occur in order for it to be at this level.
I think it goes back to like what the seminar staff I've spoken to have been saying about, like, if you know who's on the weekend, you can pitch it differently, and you can say, oh shit, all you guys own gyms. Okay. Instead of doing that, whatever part of Saturday morning, we're going to do this instead. Or like, we're going to split you into groups. Anyone who's a coach, you're going over here. Anyone who's an owner, you're going over here. Anyone who's just here for fun, you can just pick your camp and we'll split off. And there's 2 people doing the course. I'm going to do this. He's going to do this, or she's going to do this, or they, them, us are going to do this. And I think, you can pitch it like Sue's saying, not being like, all right, here's an accounting sheet. And here's,
right,
like, not into that kind of stuff. Just like, this is what a whiteboard brief looks like and what a good one looks like. Instead of looking at a week of, cap programming and breaking it down when it's shit anyway.
But yeah, so to round off the question, I would have a slightly higher barrier to entry for an affiliate, and that would be the way that I would do it. CrossFit, you are. How do you know the things you know? Is what I want to know.
Somebody asked if he owns an affiliate. Bill Plummer did, and he says it depends on who's CrossFit.
Yeah, which is interesting. So Sousa just described the gym before he bought it, and the weird part is CrossFit is 100% right. It was just like an open gym type thing. It was called CrossFit before I bought it, and then got the name CrossFit Livermore. And in fact, the only, I think, like 2-star review or something we have is a lady that showed up to CrossFit and was like, nice people, but there was no coaching, just do your own thing. Everybody seemed a little lost and like, whatever. And I actually replied to that review and was like, yeah, I completely agree. That's why I bought it. Changed it to CrossFit Livermore. If you're ever in town, come back by. We'd love to have you.
Wow.
But
did you buy it as CrossFit Livermore? So we were wondering,
No.
the Canadian dude that just closed his gym, he's retiring. Could he have just sold it as that name instead of just like closing his doors? I didn't understand why he wanted to just shut it down.
I don't know. I don't know what the affiliate name transfer looks like. I wonder too if that had to have been part of the reason why is maybe they didn't want to transfer that name. Like this was ours and we had built a legacy on it. And so if we transfer it over and it's not the same product or whatever, CrossFit, my version is way better. CrossFit, you told that story, Susan, not that deep. Dude, should just left it. It was cool when you were like, you had more mystery. Now I know it's just something that
Someone
preserve
thinks
the
it's
legacy.
Pat Sherwood. That CrossFit is Pat Sherwood.
No way. No
that would be
way.
Fucking crazy.
Yeah. Is this a new episode of the Sousa Show? Yeah, it is. Sure. Shit, I forgot what I was gonna say now. But yeah. Anyhow, we can move on to the
one more.
WP
Dan is saying that it's a great idea, and I assume it's a mocking tone. Someone with low CrossFit experience going into CrossFit gyms and telling the owners what to do with their business. So I wouldn't say I have low CrossFit experience, but also I wouldn't be telling them what to do. I'd be asking people who know a shit ton more than I do to tell them what to do.
You're just
I'd be a conduit.
Right. You're building the bridge between the two.
Yeah.
It's like you have the relationship with these affiliates and you're providing them with the people to learn from them.
Yeah.
And I actually like from the fact that you don't own a gym and you host it and kind of facilitate the conversation around it, because your perspective on things or the questions that you might ask without the knowledge that those guys have is better for the audience. Because there's certain things that I'm just under assumption that I've been doing for the last 12 years that I might not think about. Then you're like, well, wait a minute. How'd you know to get that specific toilet paper? And I'm like, oh, good question. Okay. So here's
it's 2-ply.
Yeah.
Doesn't clog the pipe.
Yeah. So, all right. WFP, do we think that it's going to survive a year to Bryson? We'll start with you. With everybody jumping ship right now with the Copenhagen thing, and we've seen these things pop up like the spin-offs of the quote unquote functional fitness, the CrossFit game competitors struggling to make it past the year. And we're seeing what's happening now. Do we think that there's a year 2 on the WFP?
I think there will be an attempt at a year 2, but I think they're going to like completely restructure. I think the finals is a huge wake-up call that the athletes are fucking idiots and they don't know what they want. And WFP doesn't know what the athlete wants either. And so catering to the athletes is just an idiotic decision. So I think there's going to be like a huge restructure. They're going to change how everything works and try to save it. And then I think year 2 will be the last year.
Pedro?
Yeah, I think it's like, it is funny that, for the athletes, by the athletes is just, they've really been hoisted by their own petard, or their own retard. But yeah, it's, I think it will survive. I think we'll get 4 or 5 years out of it. I don't think they can see what's happening. I don't think they can see. They don't seem capable of seeing their own shortcomings, and they don't seem capable of acknowledging them or admitting them or trying to fix them. I think they're just so, no, it's fine. It's fine. Like, you know, I heard that one athlete withdrew, told Will, and Will was like, "Yeah, that makes total sense. Like, you've had a big year. That's yeah, I'm really behind you on that decision." And it's kind of like, what? It'll be interesting to see what happens with these athletes that have dropped out of the finals. If I'm really curious to see if anybody doesn't sign a contract next year. So anybody who's in a pro card position just doesn't sign. That would be very telling. If people are like, I actually just don't want to do it at all, and
You
that would
think
be
that it's up in the air that someone doesn't do that? I think it's like almost guaranteed that multiple people are.
I think I need to see it. I think it's easy to say after the withdrawals for the finals, like, oh, people want, but maybe those people are just like, I'm already going to get one anyway, so what's the point? I'll just wait, sign my contract, do a couple of events next year, make more money next year. I think that's more likely than a whole raft of people refusing to sign. But I do think it'll be interesting. You know, like when you see, like Spin saw that the girl that was invited was lower down than other people, so asked, and they were like, oh yeah, I turned it down. I think that kind of stuff, you'll be looking at the leaderboard being like, wait, should Alexis Raptis not have signed a pro contract? Why did she not? Why did they skipped her? Like that kind of stuff will be very interesting to follow in, you know, end of December, start of January. I think I'd imagine they're a little bit panicked about that, but I'd say they're hoping that like, shit, if we just throw a bag of money at it, hopefully it'll all work out and it'll be fine. I'd say that's their approach.
Do you think that after everyone withdrawing from the finals, that when they do the contracts next year, it's going to be like, hey, you have to compete at every single.
No, but Will was so adamant. Like I asked him about withdrawals and is he worried with the time of year and all. He's like, no, not at all. He was like, you know, I mean, maybe he should have been a little bit worried, but I think he's just like, it doesn't matter. He's like, that's the nature of the season structure, is that you don't have to do all the events. So people will do the first one and not do the second one, and will do the third one, or whatever variation of that you want to look at. But because we've been so used to over the years seeing CrossFit as, or fucking fitness competitions or whatever, as, you know, you go, you give your all, you see where you stack up, you go to the next one, you give your all, you know, you don't withdraw just cause. So I think that's been unusual for us to look at, and I think they've missed the mark on not forcing them to do all three, barring injury or whatever. They should have put something in there, because now it looks really bad, like really, really bad. That there's whatever, what is it, 6 girls and 4 guys, or 6 girls and 3 guys, or something so far. Like that's really just looks awful. Like the worst of those is probably Hopper, and people are like, that's the one I can understand the most. And it's like, it just shows how little value the World Fitness Project has. If the guy who wins the games is like, I'm not going to that shit. And I'm not saying that's what he said, but that's how it looks.
Caleb, you think it survives another year?
I think they just have so much money that they're just going to keep pushing along until like finally dad's like, nah, I don't see the benefit in running these events. You know, like I just think it's so crazy that we all know, at least I think we all know, that none of these events ever make any money. Like you're not like, anytime you run a CrossFit event, whether you're the MAC or the Syndicate, or whether you're NorCal or the French Throwdown or whatever, like you're operating at a loss like 99% of the time, I think.
What was it? Daniel Shafi on my show last week said he's done 11 French Throwdowns and 4 of them have been not a loss.
That's crazy. That's insane. Yeah. And so you're telling me you're going to run 4, 5, 6 events a year, and you're just going to continue to operate at a loss and not figure out, okay, well, we need to make money somehow. Otherwise, we're just going to be hemorrhaging all of it. We're going to provide all of this cash to the athletes, which is awesome, cool, good for them. But why not just write them a check? Be like, hey, here's 30 grand for the year.
Good job being an athlete.
Good job being like here. There's a better way to do this instead of
basically what it is.
Right. But it's like, it's pointless to put on these events then.
And that's why,
just do one big one.
That's why everyone's like, oh, what? You don't want the athletes to make money? It's like, dude, I don't really give a fuck if the athletes make money or not. We're just pointing out how retarded it is to pay them for nothing. And
yes.
And make a whole competition based off what the athletes want. That's not how competitions work. And you're paying them to show up.
Yeah, I mean, you ask the athletes what they want. The athletes want to not compete as often as possible.
They want to do as little work as possible and make the most amount of money. Look
I
at the
think
NFL, dude. You have people who make millions of dollars in the NFL, and they don't even want to show up to workouts.
Yeah.
They don't even want to show up to practice, dude.
But
You're
there's-
telling
there's-
me that it's different in CrossFit? That these
No,
fuckers
human
don't want to
nature.
fucking do these work? Like, you're telling me that they want to show up to all these workouts and work out, and they want
Like
to make.
but you ask anyone, hey, would you rather free money or to have to do something to get the money? So I'll take the free money, please. Like,
Yeah,
like,
it's
then I'm
not
freed up to do
100%.
other
shitting
stuff.
on. It's not
Yeah.
shitting on the athletes for anything. Of course, Jason would want to show up and not try because,
Yeah.
and then say that it's a great competition with no pressure. It's like, oh yeah, no shit, there's no fucking pressure.
But it's even like the thing about it is as well that I think it's been taken out. I think what was said was taken out of context, snowballed, and then turned into this whole clusterfuck of competitions. Was like during COVID when there was no live competitions. All the athletes were saying during COVID and just after COVID, when stuff was slowly starting to open back up, was I just want to compete. I just want an opportunity to compete in person. I just miss competing in
Damn.
person. It's the best part about it. And then everyone was like, oh, they want to compete as much as humanly possible in person. And it's just like,
Damn.
no. And then the athletes were like, well, wait a minute. I mean, we're probably going to get paid. So yeah, sure. That sounds good. Competing in person sounds good. And then it just became this whole thing over the last 3 or 4 years that like, we need to give them loads of opportunity to compete in person. Like semi-finals are going to be a thing and it's basically sanctionals. And we're going to like World Fitness Project. Yeah. Big Willie's going to start his little like circus tour and we're going to have these events and you show up and we'll pay
Big
you.
Willie's circus tour. That's
And that the athletes are just like, okay, like, sure. And now we're getting towards the end where the athletes are like, I'm pretty fucked. Like, I'm
that.
pretty
Yes,
tired. I'm pretty
yes.
exhausted from like going to Copenhagen at Christmas. Yeah, I'm not fucking
Dude.
interested.
Wow,
Every-
that
yeah,
expedition
this is like
really
prime-
took it out of me.
Right. This is like prime time for people to be like enjoying their time off. Even
Yeah.
like, dude, it's Thanksgiving and then right into Christmas, and you're telling me that they want to. These athletes want to go to Copenhagen. I don't even know where that is.
Denmark.
I don't think. I think Bryson's gonna hit the nail on the head. I think they're gonna try to restructure. I think we'll see one more year out of it, and then I think they'll kind of wind it down. One of the other things that would be really interesting is, so I don't know what the ultimate outcome for the WFP is. I'm assuming it's to make a return on their investment into these competitions.
What is it, 2 million an event or something? How the fuck are they going to make a return on that?
Oh,
I have no idea, but if you were to want to invest into the sport of CrossFit,
Hang
I
on,
think-
wait. Guys,
Yeah.
guys, we're restructuring the World Fitness Project. So we're going to take the money that we were going to invest in the athletes and we're going to buy lottery tickets. And then we'll hopefully make our investment back.
you might have a better shot.
Yeah.
Probability would be
Well,
on your
dude,
side.
and the whole thing goes back to when me and Taylor were at TFX and we were doing behind the scenes. And I asked that Jason guy, I was like, hey, after the first tour stop, because it had just happened, anything you guys, like any big takeaways without taking too much of your time? And he was basically like, yeah, we've kind of focused too much on the elites and we just need to put a little bit more into the community and like the fans. It's like, oh, no fucking shit. Like everything
Crazy.
that everyone's been saying. And all the same people who for the last, year have been saying, oh, you guys are just haters. They don't give a fuck what you say. WFP is going to be so successful and you guys are going to wait and see. It doesn't matter what you guys say. When they fucking shut down because they're not making any money, they're going to blame it on us and like, oh, it's because you guys didn't buy in.
They didn't support us. Oh,
yeah, you guys didn't support it. So you just fucking made everybody do like, oh, and it's going to be our fault.
We're not preventing anybody from buying tickets for those events.
I mean,
we're not telling anybody not to go do it. It just sucks.
Like Shafi from French Showdown was like, I look at Wodapalooza and the games and Rogue as like, well, what are they doing that we could do and how could we improve? Because I want to make it 5 events where we're in profit instead of 4 or whatever. And his big thing was like, you look at Wodapalooza and there's thousands of people compete. And that's how they make their money back, by having these different events. They showcase everybody, give everybody an opportunity to compete. And then you have World Fitness Project that are like, yeah, we're just going to focus on the elites. And it's like, so you're building a house, you're just going to put the roof on the house and you don't have anything beneath that done yet. You're just going to put a roof with a nice little chimney there and no foundation, no walls, no nothing, and just see what happens.
Wodapalooza has to be like the only even close to profitable event in the space, right?
I think NorCal is pretty damn profitable.
Doesn't NorCal have like over 1,000 athletes or something every time it's on? It's crazy.
Yeah, and they
Wow.
manage their costs really well, and they do a good job with that. So I think that event is actually very profitable.
Nice.
I don't know that for a fact, but I'm pretty sure it is. Where I was going to go with the WFP thing is, if you were just going to invest into the space and you wanted to quote invest into the athletes, they should have tried to take over the semifinal portion of the season, because that's where it's hurting the most right now. And that's where the biggest draw, I think, is. Because if you feel like when the Open first came around and it was done in smaller, they had a bunch of different regions, and we just were NorCal, like just the top of California. You felt like if you trained enough, you could get to the next stage. And JR made $1 million off Crash this year. Sick.
You're fucking right, he did.
When you have that carrot out in front of you and you want to continue to grow the sport, you want to have emphasis placed on the Open, you need to be able to feel that it's somewhat tangible. And when they had it broke down into these smaller regions, you felt like, man, if I just trained hard enough, like I could make it to regionals one day. In that portion of the season, when it got fucked up and it went out of CrossFit's control and they didn't have the regionals anymore, that's where I think the real stumble came in terms of the sports side of CrossFit, and then in terms of the marketing arm of the CrossFit Games. So if WFP just really wanted to invest in the athletes, you have it all right there. You have the up and coming, and you have the elite people that you could invest into, partnered with CrossFit and partnered with those event directors that have already been doing it, people like Wilson and stuff, and Blair and Ben for years. And you could put gasoline on that fire for them, so they don't necessarily have to just rely on sponsors, which is dwindling because attendance is dwindling and viewership is dwindling. You could be able to beef that section of the season up and grow the whole thing in totality, and maybe even break it into a couple more smaller regions that would allow people to feel like they could make it, or they have a better chance. So it'd be really interesting to me to see if they pivoted towards that and tried to find some relationship there and wanted to take that portion of the season on financially. I know it wouldn't look like a situation where they would own it like the World Fitness Project or something like that, but they're not making any fucking money anyways. And I don't really know what the point of it is. Like, they have these affiliates at one point. We don't hear about that at all, because like you said, Pedro, they're trying to put a house on top of something. It doesn't make any fucking sense. So if you were to just say, hey, we're just going to invest some money into it because we care about the athletes, then do it at the semifinal level and you'll grow the ecosystem. Like Sentinel Training, I have people that have asked me before and they're like, hey, if I wanted to be competitive, like what would I do? And every single time I'm like, dude, Taylor and Bryson, like go.
You're like, are you based in the Livermore area? Yeah, come to my gym. Are you based in the Livermore area? No, Sentinel Training is really good, and you should probably do that. I do think with your point about going to semifinals, though, it's kind of like, yeah, okay, cool, but going back to the house analogy, that's sort of like the house has burnt down, and they're like, maybe if we change the door, it's kind of like, dude, we're so far gone down this path that I don't know we can turn around and come back and be like, do you guys want to run the semifinals for us? I think that ship has long sailed.
Tyler Watkins here. No CrossFit, maybe at first glance, but it's marketing. And then he goes on to say the sport should have always been subsidized. And I agree with this as well. I mean, you guys have heard me speak relentlessly on the fact that we've invested too much into sport, but I agree with Tyler in the sense that it should always have been subsidized to a certain degree, because it is the largest marketing arm. The problem is you got to get your house in order to market it. It'd be the same as if I run shitty CrossFit classes and then I go somewhere and I'm like, so what should I do to help grow my business? They're like, oh, you need to market it. And then I have people coming in the door and coming out the door, coming in the door, coming out the door. And I don't ever fix the actual problem. And I think the problem is this fragmentation of the season. Like, you need to make the Open matter a lot. You need to make it a really cool mass participation event. You got to get the affiliates really fucking excited about wanting to run it and do it. And then you have to be able to have a really solid semifinal season. Like, you need to have that section of it down. It needs to be somewhat consistent. It needs to be somewhat reliable in the sense of I know when I'm going to go, where I'm going to go, and how it runs, as opposed to it. I think it's changed every single year, every year. And then the games portion of it is kind of been set. Like, we understand that piece, but the big missing gap and where the most opportunity is, in my opinion, is that semifinal slot. In the quarterfinal slot too, you could have it to where the quarterfinal thing was run almost like a CrossFit Crash Crucible, and it had to be done in the affiliates, and certain affiliates were able to do it, and you could kind of invest in it that way, and you could have like your local, the local all-stars come out that are never have a chance at a semi-level stage, but would be able to crush it in their local community, and then the top of that go on to semifinal. That to me is where the biggest opportunity lies.
I gotta go. I have a business development call with Morad, so I need to go and do that. So
Yeah, I bet you do.
okay.
Later, thank you.
See you, Peter.
Sevon, imagine how smart it'd be if the WFP grabbed a semifinal and then gave it more prize money than the games. I mean, from a competitive standpoint, it would be, but I don't even think their whole deal was they wanted to invest in the athletes in the community. So if they really wanted to do that, I don't think that they would push a prize purse so high that it would compete with the games. But I do think that investing in the semifinals and the right people that are putting them on would make a massive difference for the community and for the sports side of thing.
And people would actually try at their competitions, and it wouldn't just be for fun or, as Jason would say, an expedition.
I can never make fun of that because my pronunciation of words is awful. So I'm sure there's parts where I've called it an expedition too. Drive the expedition over. But in a nutshell, I think it's going to be really tough for the WFP to survive another year. I think you hit it on the head, Bryson, but like they'll try to do some sort of restructure there, which is going to cost more resources like humans and money. And then they're going to start to flounder within the second year as well. And then think to shut it down. Everybody that keeps claiming this unlimited money of, it's just unlimited money. It's just this faucet that's never going to turn off. And they're so rich. You guys don't understand. I don't see it. I'm sorry. I don't know a ton of rich people. I know a lot of rich people, and they don't really just invest in things because they want to flush their money down the toilet. There is an incentive for them. And even if it feels like they're flushing their money down the toilet, you look a little deeper into it and you're like, oh, got it. That's why they're doing it, because it benefits them over here in this way, which I didn't quite see at first.
And even if it is you guys don't understand how much money it is. Okay, cool. 3 years instead of 2. Okay, 4 years instead of 3. Like
it's like grid.
The point is that it's gonna end, and it's not sustainable, and it's a stupid fucking idea to make a competition for the athletes.
Yeah, they tried to. It reminds me a little bit of when all the piranhas came out, when Greg first sold the company or was about to sell the company. You had all these people that were like, oh, I have my own thing and you could jump on board. And I think like NC Fit or something was one of them. And like you could affiliate with us over here. And then you had all these little fragmentations happen that basically tried to do the same thing as CrossFit without calling it CrossFit. And where did all those end up today? It's like they didn't work out. And I think the same thing was a moment of opportunity at the 2024 games. They're like, oh, look, the athletes are pissed off. They're making all these stands. Like this is a chance for us to come in and be able to take over the season. And then as that kind of faded and it played out as it will, turned out, didn't end up work out that way. All right. So last piece, we'll move on from the WFE thing is the CrossFit Open. You guys, do you think that this year we're going to see participation increase or decrease? And then after you answer, you have to come up with some sort of reason for your answer and then potentially some sort of solution if you had to fix it. Bryson, we'll start with you.
Increase from last year.
Just from last year, not peak, but just do we have more participation from last year to this year?
I think it will be more because the herd was culled before last year. Like everyone who signed up last year is okay. Sorry.
I've never heard his dogs bark before. This is new.
I'm surprised they bark. I thought they were small.
Well, one of them's big and the other one.
Oh, that's right.
I think it'll increase because everyone who signed up last year is really a CrossFitter and believes in what we're doing. And we got rid of all the people who are just kind of half in, half out. And then I just think naturally with a year of those people still being bought in and everyone else gone, everyone told 3 friends to come do CrossFit or over the course of the year, even more than that maybe, or by the time the Open comes around, they'll bring their buddy. Like I think I don't think it'll be a huge increase, but I think it'll be all the people who signed up last year. I don't think anyone extra is going to leave after last year. If you sign up last year, you're definitely signing up this year. It's not going to go down. And then I think just naturally there's a little bit of an increase from people telling their friends or getting their buddy to finally come or whatever.
Caleb?
I think it'll be about the same, if not maybe a little less. I think with the culling of the herd, you lose like some people might have been on the fence and they're still at the affiliate and they still have like they just don't really care to do that. They don't really care to sign up for the competition or whatever. They just don't want to like, I don't know. I don't think that we're going to, if it's any sort of increase, it's like just a little bit of increase.
I think the biggest reason for it being a decrease is because Dave doesn't know what the fuck he's doing with the open programming.
Well,
if there's going to be a decrease, it's going to be from that.
Yeah, I could see that.
I mean, imagine being someone who's like super bought into the methodology and a really complete test and using the open as your benchmark. And then last year's workouts come out and you're like, what the fuck? Like, how is this supposed to test my fitness?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. I can test my cardio, but that's about it. Like, I test my cardio, my ability to just like move really fast for a moderate amount of time. Yeah. Cool. Huge part of fitness, but it's not fitness. So I think if anyone were to not sign up this year who signed up last year, it would be for that reason.
So you think the programming matters a lot in terms of it being increasing or decreasing?
I don't think it matters a lot. I think generally people aren't really thinking about the program when they decide to sign up or not. I'm just saying,
think so?
No, I don't think so. I think if people sign up for the open, it's because they want to sign up for the open. I don't think they're thinking about the programming. I think there's some people who do after the fact. So I think those people that you pissed off last year and the year before are like, okay, this is a pattern. It wasn't just one fucked up year. I'm out. Like, why would I pay $20 to do shitty fucking workouts?
Now, why do you think that the programming last year was bad? Two part of this. Do you think it's because it's limited to only 3 workouts? Or do you think it's because there was an attempt to make it more accessible?
I think the biggest thing is it was an attempt to make it more accessible. And then I think 3 workouts makes it harder to have a good test. I don't think it makes it impossible to have a good test. But I do think that making it more accessible ruins the test. They've always fallen back on like gated workouts where the things start accessible. And if you're fit enough to make it through a certain time or round, then you get to do the things that are a little bit less accessible. And the people in your gym who can't do that just get to watch you. And it's cool to see someone fitter than you work out, but they still got a really good workout. So it's not like that ruins the open or makes it so people can't sign up. And it also doesn't mean that every workout should be like that. There should be a workout that everyone can do exactly the same, 100%. But not every workout should be like that, because we're trying to test for the fittest people. And you kind of get bailed out by the top 25% go to quarterfinals. You could really get bailed out by that. You even still get bailed out by top 10% go to quarterfinals, because anyone who is like has a reason to do quarterfinals can do the open with their eyes closed and be top 10%.
Yeah.
But there shouldn't. Yeah, I knew Sevon was going to start commenting because he's fucking retarded. But
it's the best open in the history of the CrossFit Games last year.
If it is a good test of fitness, the next stage shouldn't completely flip-flop the leaderboard. Yeah, maybe if somebody's like worst movement ever showed up in one of the 3 open workouts, they move up a little bit in the next stage, or vice versa, they move down a little bit in the next stage. But there shouldn't be these huge gaps. I shouldn't go from 1,200 in the open to 127th in semifinals just because the workouts change. If it's a good test of fitness, then I should be in the same spot on both of them.
That's interesting.
Or if you're 127th in the open, it shouldn't go to semifinals and you can't even do 3 of the workouts. You're not 127th fittest in the world then.
Sure.
I think it has to do with the 5, and I hate to say this because as an affiliate owner, I like the 3 because 3 weeks is so much easier to manage in terms of events than 5. But I do believe that it has to, you have to have more workouts in order to have more of the variety in the programming that you're talking about. What if you, and both you guys hit this, I'll start with you, Caleb, and I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. Like if you had to pick a year where you thought the Open was the best in terms of not only participation, but programming, what year do you go with?
Let me see. It would have been, I think it was the year that they had the 50s workout. And maybe just because I really enjoyed that 50s workout where it was like the 50 deadlifts, 50 wall balls, 50 handstand push-ups, 50 cal row, whatever. That
were twice. The first year that showed up or the repeat year?
It would have been the first time. Would have been like 14.
Yeah, I think
it was 1,000. The example I used was 1,000 spots.
Yeah, 7.
I liked, maybe it was 17. Okay, yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter.
The best people try hardest in every workout they do.
Yeah.
So 2015, you're saying?
Yeah, I think it was like 2015. I felt like that was the year that every time. So I had to go. I ended up going to like 3 different affiliates for that year because I was just traveling that entire month. And every time I went to a new affiliate, it was like buzzing. You go in there and they were doing like, okay, let's do like a Saturday morning heats of these workouts. And it was, everybody was showing up. Everybody was there. You could like the whole gym turned out to do these workouts and everybody was excited to do them. And they were hard. And they had, like Bryson said, there were gates to each workout. So you were able to test yourself up to it wasn't accessible to everybody, but it gave the top people the chance to prove that they could that there was a standard to be set and that they can do the difficult things. And I felt like for me at that time, it was challenging enough for me that I could get to a point where I felt like my fitness was at and then still push a little bit further. And you had that community around you of people who wanted to see you do well and wanted to see people like fail and try again and do that. And the environments in all the affiliates that I went to that year was, I mean, that was like peak CrossFit, I felt like.
Yeah.
If the Open was a complete test, you should be able to add the Open and quarterfinal scores together, and that's what gets you to semifinals. That's the opposite of true. If the Open was a complete test, then it would be a complete test, and then you start back over at 0 because you got the fittest people to quarterfinals. If the Open isn't a complete test, that's where you would then combine your quarterfinal score to it. If you were going to say, hey, we only want people to get to quarterfinals who have an engine, then let's do these 3 Open workouts and you keep your placement going into quarterfinals. Now we're going to do the high skill stuff. We're going to do the heavy stuff. And we're just going to add that to your Open scores. Then that's the situation where you would combine them. But being a complete test, it would just be redundant. If the Open's a complete test and everyone's where they should be, then you start back over from 0 and do another complete test in quarterfinals. If the Open's a complete test and you go to quarterfinals and keep your scores, and quarterfinals isn't a complete test then because you're combining the Open scores, then you're skewing an already final complete test. But you wouldn't need to combine the scores unless they already were not complete tests.
Larry Young, $4.99. Thank you very much. Anytime there's like a donation on the shows that we're doing, I feel so validated. Like, damn, this was a good show.
Thank you for
Thanks, Larry. Appreciate it. The cardio stops some, gymnastics should stop some, and the loading should stop some. Yeah, I agree with him. That's kind of what Bryson was saying there. And I looked it up while Caleb was chatting about it. So it was 2016 was the year you were thinking of, Caleb. And you know what, too? If we go down these workouts, I agree with you. Like if you look at this one, the overhead walking lunge with the barbell, the 8-bar facing burpees, you walk it, the lunge back, and then 8 chest to bar pull-ups. I mean, that workout came out with a bang right away. And I remember this was a big deal for 2 reasons. Number one, you started with the chest to bar pull-up, which was already going to be a a higher skill movement for some. So a lot of people were kind of like bummed about that. But the main thing being like affiliates having enough space to
Oh
do
my
an
God.
overhead walking lunge with the barbell. And then on top of that, making it a 20-minute AMRAP. So like even if you had to go 2 people at a time, now is going to take you forever to get through all these athletes to go through this
Yes.
workout.
This is a great
you
workout,
just
but
didn't
it's
have
an
the space.
affiliate owner nightmare.
Yes, I completely agree. I like this workout a lot. I like this whole year of programming a lot. I mean, 2014 too as well. In 2015, like kind of these slightly earlier years, like I think the programming was unmatched. But this was tough because luckily we have plenty of space, so this isn't a big issue for us. In the length of the gym going wide ways, we have a permanent 25-foot marked out because we're constantly doing that's like the distance that we do it in. So this for us would be easy to be able to accommodate, and we could probably end up doing like 12 or 15 people all in a row with the barbells and still be able to do it. Most gyms would not. They're doing 1 to 2 people at a time.
I did this workout in my university gym, and it was like during the time when like the football players or maybe it was baseball, what doesn't matter, one of the teams was working out at the same time, and that was probably, or in that time frame, like that era, that those couple years was a few times that you could go do a CrossFit workout, and if other people were watching you, they would come up to you and be like, "Hey, what are you doing? What is that?
Yeah.
Tell me, can I do that workout too? What are we doing today? Like, can I work out with you tomorrow or some shit like that?" Like, people were interested and they were curious enough to ask about it. And I think those workouts that era was just, it was just like better. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you could still do something like this. I think with affiliates more in mind, though, you could just do like plate overhead walking lunges. Like everyone holds a 45-pound plate for guys, 25 or maybe a 35 for ladies. But anyone who disagrees with me about the open, it's fine if you don't care that it's a bad test, but it is a bad test. I mean, everything we talked about earlier, CrossFit is about measuring. It was the first training system or program to measure fitness. It was the first methodology to do that. And we're basically just not following our own rules by having shitty fucking opens every year. So if you don't care about that, that's okay. I'm not even going to argue about that because it doesn't matter. That's your opinion, but it is wrong. So if you just don't care that's wrong, that's fine.
Tom of the 757 somewhat depends on how affiliates push it as well. I'm just taking the first portion of your comment there because I completely agree with it. The first thing you have to do is HQ needs to get the affiliates really excited about the open. And I think there's a lot of different ways that you could do that. We don't necessarily break into all of them here, but the more that the affiliate owners are excited and behind the open and are pushing it, the bigger it's going to be, point blank. Like if you make it this huge deal back in the day through these years, back in my day, 2014, 2015, 2016, we had the whole Friday Night Lights. On the last one, we used to do like a barbecue hangout on that 5th workout. And I think almost every year we at least got one person that signed up. To Bryson's point earlier, that they showed up with a friend like, "Hey, come down to the gym. We're going to kind of have this like barbecue hangout. A couple of these people are going to do this workout and blah, blah." And they're like, "Okay, this is kind of weird." And they show up and they saw it and they're like, "Whoa, this is awesome. Like, I want to be a part of this." So almost every year we got somebody from that Friday Night Lights because a friend brought a friend in or a family member in or something like that. The programming piece here, as we go to workout too, just we're not going to go through a ton of like analyzing the programming, but Bryson strikes again with being correct on having those skills advance right away in the gatekeeping style workouts. Now I remember doing this one at this year, and I was thinking like, cool, I'll for sure be able to get through that 185 squat clean. Like I could do that weight okay. And I got stopped dead in my tracks just straight up due to total bar capacity. I like overlooked it so much that I got, crushed just with that. And this type of workout is a perfect example of the combination of capacity, skill, and being able to manage the weights. And this is a good workout.
Yeah, this is how you test strength.
And
not a 1-rep max thruster.
And it was cool. Yeah. And it was cool because there's a little something for everybody in there. I remember a ton of it was the year before. Another example here, we have 10 power snatches at a lightweight that everybody could use, and then 3 bar muscle ups. 3 bar muscle ups seems somewhat achievable if you semi had that skill. You mean like I could kind of get them? Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I have them. And then it also made for a really exciting open, because I remember we got a ton of people that got their very first bar muscle up that year. Because with 7 minutes, you could do this workout with a couple attempts if you didn't really have bar muscle ups, because you're just going to start with 10 power snatches at a lighter weight. And on top of that, everybody could at least get a score of 10 in there, because you could do the weight on the snatches. It's not like it was a heavy weight or unmanageable load. And when you set up things like this, you could have some really cool moments in CrossFit affiliates with people getting their first bar muscle ups. And even though they might have gotten 10 power snatches in 1 muscle up, and that was the end of their workout in that 7 minutes, it didn't matter. They were riding that high for a long time because they were able to get their first muscle up in competition. Then even though it's at their home gym with all the people that they normally work out with, we all know that there's something completely different about working out when that timer goes off and there's the judge standing there with a clipboard and people are watching you. Like, it just elevates everything. And that's how you're able to get those moments with people getting their first bar muscle up, first double unders, different things like this. Now, this was the workout that you were talking about here, Caleb. And again, we kind of see this evolution of the movements here. So we have the deadlifts, 225, depending on where you are in your fitness journey, might be heavy deadlift for 55 of them in a row. So you got to kind of manage your way through that. The wall balls and the 55 calorie row, everybody could get through that. Now with the 13 minutes, it tests your capacity as to how quickly you can move through those. And then at the end, we have a skill with the handstand push-up. Again, a lot of people able to get their first handstand push-ups or just make it there and see how many they could get. The elites all got through it, back to some deadlifts and stuff like that. But for the most part, most people just made it to the handstand push-ups and came to a dead stop. So I think that that was a really well programmed. And the last one here is the thruster burpee. This is just straight up a suck fest. 4-time, 21 going down to 3. And this was just straight up like, are you able to hurt, and do you have the capacity to hang on? And so I think if we see some more open workouts that are indicative of that type of programming, it has to have 5, because you could only have that variety and that gatekeeping and all those other things if you have enough opportunities in the open to do it. If you have less than that, it's really tough to fit them into 3. Brett on here, who's an affiliate over out in CrossFit Portland and Ohio, was like, I do not want to have, or Port Smith, I think, I do not want to have fucking 5 weeks in the open. And I was like, dude, me either. But for the sake of just being able to have enough opportunity to have a broad enough test and allow that creativity in there, it's one of those situations where, like, I think you need to have more of them. And I say that very reluctantly.
I think it makes it way easier for sure. And yeah, you can probably get closer and closer to perfect the more workouts that you have in terms of just quality of test. Like, there's less things that you could possibly miss. Do you think that there's ever a place for doing more than one workout a week? Like, if one of the workouts is 7 minutes of burpees and then the other one is like the 16.2 workout we just looked at with toes to bar and double unders and heavy squat cleans, and you put those in basically the same weekend, announce the workout on Thursday.
Isn't that what they're doing in quarterfinals? Isn't that what they released?
Well,
3?
Quarterfinals was always basically a weekend to do 5 workouts.
Yeah, I think you do that. I think that's the only time you do that. I think in the open, you have the mass participation of every affiliate, and you just do the one workout is plenty. I think a lot of these people, they just want to do it to test themselves in general, and just one workout a week is enough stimulus for them to feel like they accomplished something. Well, I think you add another one where you're like, well, you need to show up on Sunday too. And a lot of these people only show up for 4 or 5, maybe 5 times a week to their affiliate. I would venture a guess and say a lot of people are like 3 to 4 times a week, maybe a Saturday kind of thing every week. So adding another one would be tough.
CrossFit Port Clinton. He says I didn't even get it right on his 3rd time. I like what Kevin says here. This could be a happy medium. 4 weeks. One of the workouts is a part 1, part 2. gives you essentially five different tests. I'm gonna have to go with a slight increase on the open just to round out this conversation. I think we'll see a little bit of an increase in participation this year. And I really hope that CrossFit has some cool stuff up its sleeve in terms of getting the affiliates more excited about that. And I'm not saying that it needs to be a kickback on the money, meaning like if I get 10 people to sign up, they'll give me money or they'll give me this rogue gift card. I don't think that's the incentive. I think you just need to be able to reduce a ton of friction on them putting the event on. So don't make it hard to judge. Don't make it a situation where we have to do these elaborate setups with all this tape and stuff like that. Like keep it really simple, keep it basic CrossFit. And then on top of that, you could lean into more so giving different tools to affiliate owners to, again, just make it super easy on them in terms of putting the event on. Sevon, how were the affiliates reacting when the Planet Fitness buy CrossFit?
This typo in this one.
How will the affiliates react when Planet Fitness buys CrossFit? Not well, I suppose. Like, I don't know. That's
$10 memberships.
Jesus. Yeah, no, that's. I think people would be pissed. I think it dilutes the brand significantly. It dilutes like everything significantly. You're telling me that those are the two entities are the complete antithesis of each other.
Right.
They're not even close to the same thing. Whereas Planet Fitness is just a massive fishing trawler just picking up minnows for hours. And 90% of those minnows are like not even of size to be eaten. Whereas CrossFit is completely, it's very specific types of people do CrossFit. And the quality of those people is significantly higher.
I don't think there's a chance they buy it just because it's so far out of the scope of what they do. Sevon says here, Pat, doesn't matter what I say as long as we stop talking about the open and workouts in programming.
All right, so that segues us into our next segment. We're going to talk about the percentage of MWG implements in the total history of the open.
Just go completely like nerd with it. All right, so we'll end on this though, and this is pretty much a yes or no question, but you could give your reasoning behind it. This marks the 20th year of the CrossFit Games. Does Dave Castro continue to be director of the CrossFit Games after this year? Caleb, you want to start?
I like Dave. I want him to stay around. I think he does stick around. I don't think that there's it goes back to the experience that he has running events and programming, obviously, is just unmatched by anybody else. And so when you have somebody like that who is a great leader, who understands how CrossFit understands CrossFit from like the base level all the way up to the competition level. He has all of the lessons learned over the past 20 years, and he's able to direct people in a manner that he can reach people on different levels and get them to understand what's going on. I think you need to keep him around, even if it's just to like bring somebody else up and under the wing. I think you need to keep him around. So yeah, I think he stays.
Okay, but as director, you think, and then he ushers in like his next person to get him moving, or what?
Yeah, I think that's what happens.
His predecessor, is that what that's called?
Yeah.
Bryson, what do you think?
Learner?
I think this is his last year. I don't necessarily want it to be his last year. But he talks about the 20th year all the time. Maybe he'll do one more after this so that he has 20 years, just since he missed one. But I would like him to stay. I mean, Dave's best programming is some of the best programming that we've ever gotten. I just wish that maybe he would remember what he used to think like when programming now, and not just, I don't really know what to put here, I'll just throw another machine in it and have 5 of 10
games event scores have machines in it. So just things like that. It seems like Dave's almost at this point where like he forgot how obsessed he used to be with it and like gets annoyed at other people being obsessed with it and getting into the weeds. It's like, hey, that's your job, is to get into the weeds with that kind of stuff. So I really like Dave, and I know I joke a lot about him having dementia because his programming has sucked the last couple of years. But if he were to kind of get his shit together, I would really like to see some more peak Dave Castro games programming. But I do feel like he's probably coming up on retirement from that position anyway. It just seems like the way he talks about it now, and he's always talking about year 20. I don't know. It seems to me like he's ready to just like bring someone else into that.
I think it was a huge miss when Boz programmed. It was like nonsensical. You could tell that he was programming, and it was dumb. It was dumb.
I think you could tell that Boz was programming, but I don't think it was dumb. I think there was things that even he, I think, would probably change looking back on it. Like the skills medley had really cool aspects to it, but it was just executed poorly. But I don't think Boz's year was bad at all. But I do still think that the best years ever are Dave, and like all of the like top 5 best years are Dave, probably even more.
Right.
Yeah, I mean it's his baby. You know, it was born in his parents' backyard at the ranch.
Right.
So here's what I just completely selfishly, here's what I'd want to have happen. I would want Dave to retire his spot as director of the CrossFit Games, and I would like to see him move on to be CEO of CrossFit in total. I think that Dave is needed in the affiliate realm way more than he's needed in the games realm right now. And I would love to have that level of leadership and that level of like default to action at the very helm of CrossFit, at the top. And I would like to see less compartmentalization of the organization as a total, and him have kind of just his hand dipped into every single bucket. So he'd still be involved with the CrossFit Games to a certain extent, but it wouldn't be the level that of involvement that it is now. And then honestly too, I mean, I'm completely biased with this, but I would put JR Howell in that spot of the director of the CrossFit Games, simply because of his in-depth knowledge of CrossFit methodology in a total in programming. But he has this real honor to the past, meaning if you look at all of his Crash Crucible programming, there's so much inspiration and elements of regionals that are built into that, and the evolution of that with implements that have been introduced into the game since then and stuff like that. So he understands it at a level that I think would honor the past, and he wouldn't try to deviate too far away from what Bryson is saying is like those real nitty gritty early years where it was completely great programming and everything else. So I would love to see somebody like him come in. I also think that having JR be an outsider in an affiliate owner gives him a very unique look into like the open and what it takes to pull that off logistically and what's appropriate and what's not. And that's kind of an element that's missing a little bit, is having somebody that's actually ran an affiliate, that's ran multiple Friday Night Lights, that could know how to make that event really good from a programming standpoint, but also really great for an affiliate, like making it just easier on the owner and understanding the logistics that are involved with that. Then as Dave moving from that to CEO position, I mean, he's the only person out of HQ right now that we're seeing consistently do something outside of the CrossFit podcast, which James Hobart in that role as a host there has been awesome. And their ability to keep that up with, I know Maggie's involved with that too. And that's great. And outside of that, we just have Dave doing these affiliate shows, his week in review type stuff. I'm sure he was pushing for the CrossFit, what is it? Fitness of,
Sport of Fitness.
Thank you. With Chase back and doing that. I love that is back as well. And I would imagine that Dave helped push all that along. And so I think that if we put him at the very top of that and gave him some autonomy to do whatever he wanted, we would see it all the way across the board, which would be his way to help the CrossFit Games at a much higher level than being the director of it.
Yeah, I should clarify that I think Dave is probably coming to his time being the director of the games is coming to an end, but I don't think he's anywhere close to like time at CrossFit coming to an end. And I think he would do a lot more good in other places.
For sure. I mean, he has knowledge across running the whole entire seminar staff and the logistics on doing that, not to mention running the seminar himself, being a flow master, to helping with affiliates. I don't think there's anybody at CrossFit HQ that has dropped into more affiliates across the world than Dave has. So that element of being able to be that person that actually shows up and takes the classes and does that, and has for as long as I can remember, is super important. His ability to want to get in front of a camera and be able to appropriately but unapologetically push back on a lot of things that come his way is what's very needed. And also to just his ability to lead, I think is super important. Not everybody's going to agree with his leadership style, and I get that, but I think that if we also moved him into a slightly different role, I think his leadership style adapts to what is needed at the time. And sometimes it's hard-nosed, cut and dry leadership, and sometimes it's not. I mean, when he was fired and they were going to bring him back, Craig Howard over at CrossFit Diablo hosted him to do a sit down to just kind of have a discussion with him coming back and where affiliate owners are feeling about HQ and what's going on, and his ability to hold that and not do it in a way of like, we're just here to listen, but truly like understand what's going on, provide some context or feedback, or say like, yeah, you're right, we suck at that and I don't have an excuse, we'll make that better. But they're giving him the autonomy to actually make that better would be very good for CrossFit as a total, I think.
Yeah, and as much as I would like to say like, oh, you know what, like there should be no censoring. Dave should be able to say whatever the fuck he wants and tell people they're fucking stupid if they're doing this, blah, blah, blah. I do think he walks a really good line of being like you can tell when he thinks someone is stupid, but he doesn't say anything in a way that's like too aggressive, because it is great if you can say anything, but if tweeting Floyd 19 forces you to sell the company, basically, then you're not there anymore. And we need Dave to be there. So him kind of walking the line and doing a really good job of that is enough to keep him there while also letting everyone know, hey, we're not fucking around. Yeah.
All right. Well, that is the state of the union of the CrossFit space from us here. Savon is traveling today. He'll be back for the normal morning show starting tomorrow morning. We will also, maybe next weekend, I'm not sure what the timeline is, but we will have the conclusion of the Kill Taylor show at some point during this week or later on. And Bryson, Caleb, Pedro, wherever he's at now, thank you guys. I appreciate you jumping on here and holding down the discussion. I know when we chatted about it yesterday, we're like, okay, we'll just all come out on chat and see where it goes. And I think we provided some cool stuff, and hopefully it was entertaining for all the people at home out there. Gentlemen, thank you guys. The rest of you all, we'll see you soon. Let me see if we could end on some sort of commercial.
We're raising our prices, but not.
No, that's old. We need a new one. All right, we'll end with Wodify. Thank you guys for listening. You guys have a great Sunday, and bye-bye.
You show up every day to change lives. You manage a million little details, all of them critical. We get it. We know the founder mindset because Wodify was built from the ground up, just like you. We know details because we're true partners who fine-tuned every nuance of our own platform to make it work seamlessly for you. We know customer service because we obsess over customer satisfaction. You need a partner who understands your business and a platform that helps you run it like a well-oiled machine. More than another vendor, we're a partner who cares about your success as much as you do, powering your vision into a reality and your business into a legacy. We provide tech that can keep pace with your growth. The founder hustle never stops, and you wouldn't have it any other way. But with the right tech partner, you can focus on doing what you love, while we run things behind the scenes, making your business as strong as your clients. We're Wodify. We're built to build